Look, I mean, that's on both sides. I think they're just happy that it's happening. They even were calling it different things. So China wanted to call this summit a strategic dialogue. The US are referring to it as a one-off. But either way, the fact that it's happening at all, despite all the heated words, is a success in itself.
As we saw earlier in the bulletin, it was a pretty rough opening day with some severe accusations being levelled at one another in front of the press for over an hour. Given how low the US-China relationship sank under Donald Trump, is this a sign for it to go even lower, or is it the first step towards some kind of reconciliation, some kind of healing?
Look, I think in some ways both sides have so many red lines that it was probably good for them to get it out of their system. I think they clearly needed to get it out of their system. I mean, the thing was only meant to last a couple of minutes on each side, and then they would go away for closed-door negotiations. And as you said, it lasted for over an hour and a half, with the US accusing the Chinese side of grandstanding, and China covering everything from America as sort of the champion cyber attacker to the Black Lives Matter movement. So, yeah, it certainly wasn't as planned, but the behind closed doors thing went on, and from all accounts was very successful. So, yeah, it was a big show for domestic audiences both in the US and China, I think.
So is there a cause for optimism here at all? Do you see any areas where either side might be willing to cede some sort of ground?
Look, I think that's what the hope is in the future. There will be other meetings, of course. And to a certain extent, the meetings have to be at the top level between Xi Jinping and Joe Biden. That's what both sides are clearly kind of working towards. And there are areas, both sides signaled there are areas they're willing to cooperate on, the most obvious being climate change. So I think in areas where there is not direct competition, you will see the Biden administration being more willing to accommodate reasonable demands from the Chinese side.
Now, earlier this week, Joe Biden's Indo-Pacific coordinator, Kurt Campbell, said that the US wasn't going to leave Australia alone on the field. Those were his words. Do you think that the US will succeed in convincing China to back off on some of its damaging economic policies towards Australia?
Well, look, there's no doubt if you look at the US opening statement, we've made the top line. So in their opening statement, they covered off Hong Kong, Xinjiang, Taiwan, and economic coercion against the US allies. No mention of the South China Sea, which you would have thought would have been a first order concern. So we're definitely in the top league. The significance is, will this lead to us being beaten over the head even more? It's very, very hard to say. But it is a huge change from the Trump administration. The word allies and alliances was used no fewer than 9 times during the address. And in a way, a lot of the economic punishment that we've seen meted out to Australia is a direct result of the Trump administration's trade deal with China. So, for example, beef or barley, they were basically punishments given to us to make room for US exports to China. So it's a huge change from the previous administration. So it will benefit us, but who knows in what ways.
Well, just on that point, could it go the other way? Could China react badly to some of what the US is trying to do here and seek to punish Australia even further?
Look, that's entirely possible. And the US side were very careful not to mention individual allies that it had in mind when it came to economic coercion. But Yang Jiechi, towards the end of his final address, named us as one company or one country that he didn't see as having any grounds to be complaining.
Wow. Graeme Smith, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.